Welcome back to Introduction to Engineering Design. This is Module 7.5 and we're working on our drawings. So we did the axle and we did a couple of detailed views on that axle in addition to some dimensioning on a front view. So now let's go down and let's go through and do a subassembly drawing. And this is pretty simple. So I'm going to go back down and open up in my folder my subassembly. Now again, you'll notice these filter buttons here. Parts, Assemblies. You'll notice as I deselect Drawings, and then top level Assemblies. So let's go through and do the Assembly filter, and you'll see that I've got my Subassembly 1 built already. So here's Subassembly 1. A couple things to note is I'm fully defined. I have a fixed component within the drawing or the bed, and I have no minuses over here. So a couple critical things to look at. Other thing to consider here is when I come over here to my default layout, you're going to notice that I haven't done an exploded view of this yet. So let's start there. So what I do is I right click, and I can either do it this way, right click and add new exploded view, or I can come up in my assembly button and I can click on exploded view. Either one gets me to the same place. It gets me to the exploded command here. I want to go ahead and do a regular step, basically translate and rotate, and we're going to come in and we're going to pick the items that we want to pull out of this particular model. So I'm going to first start with this one block plug in the front, and this is the same as when we did our cube. You'll see you get the triad, and this will move the component that's inserted, and it basically will dissolve the mates and allow you to move it. It'll let you move it in three dimensions, and I'm just pulling that one out. If I come down here and select Rotational Rings, I can get a few other things to show here. But I just roll my model to pick my axle out on the other side, and you'll notice that it doesn't really matter which way I roll the model. When I go back, it doesn't really save that. So what I've got is I've got 3 chains here, and it shows me moving each one of these. Now I could rotate and move that component some more if I chose to, but I'm reasonably happy with that. If I want to edit each one of these chains, all I do is right click on it and I edit the step, and now I get the distances. So let's say I wanted to move them all at 1.5 inches. I could certainly do that, and I would right click and edit the step, and I would make them all 1.5. And 1.5. So now when I come back down and I look at all these chains that I go through, they're all the same. Sorry, I actually have to click apply, and I didn't do that on that, sorry. You'll see the part actually moves as I do that. Okay. So this is my exploded view. Now to go back and forth, all I have to do is I can go back and select my exploded view or change my view however I want it to appear. Doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to leave it like this for now, and I'm going to go ahead and go File, Make Drawing from the Assembly. I'm going to browse into my C drive, ID 41, ID Templates, and use the landscape drawing. Now what I'd recommend you do is just use the isometric exploded view, because this really is just to show the bill of materials. Select the scale, and I would choose the colored version here so that I get it basically a shaded version with edges on it. Shows the most detail, I think, for printing and for basically laying out what your drawing or what your model looks like. Use a custom scale and scale it to the size that you want. We could set a sheet scale, and we'll do some of that here in a little bit, but I'm going to choose 1:2 here just because that's a nice scale. Now each one of these pieces, we know it has a name. If I don't like this view, I can certainly rotate the view, and I can do all sorts of different things, which we've already done several times. You'll notice I'm going to get a weird outcome when I rotate that. And I'll undo that rotate view. But I can't really tell whether this is a 1-block socket or a 2-block socket. The axles and the body, I don't really know what that body is of. So the way that I can identify that is I go to my annotation tab, and I'm going to click on balloons. Now I can either balloon, or I can click on Autobloom. If I use Autobloom, what I'm going to recommend is try both, and I'm going to go ahead and show you. If I click on the Autobloom, what happens. The Autobloom goes through and it picks out my assembly by the parts that went into it, and you'll see that I've got all these little U's showing up here, and I'm waiting for the check mark. As soon as I take the check mark, that goes away, and now I can move around the entire block. If I want to change the Autobloom, I can change its location. I can't change its number. So sometimes it is convenient for you to move them just for the appearance to improve, and it does try and line them up and do a few other things. That's not always what you want. So there's your Autobloom, but what does this 1, 2, 3 mean? Well, what that is those are parts out of your bill of material. So if I come over here to tables, again, I'm in the annotation tab, tables, I click on tables, bill of materials. What I can do here is I can insert a bill of materials, but you'll notice it doesn't have anything over here in the left-hand bill of materials pane, and the reason is because I don't have anything selected. So as soon as I click on a view, it will then bring up my bill of materials. What I want to do on these sub-assemblies is do a parts-only bill of material. Okay, use the standard bill of material. And I can change part numbers and start them in different sequences and do a lot of sophisticated things. But this is our first look at this. So let's just go with a default bill of materials, parts only on the subassembly. Click on it, select it, and as I drag my cursor in, you're going to notice I get a bill of material and I can drop it. Now, there are windows in here. Like this part number is attached to the file name and the file properties. I can come in and edit any of these. So let me edit my axle description, and I want to keep the link. Keep the link. So click don't show this again and keep the link. And I'm going to enter in here plastic. I'm just going to enter the material that it's made out of. Now, a couple features you should notice about this bill of material is I've got an item number. The 1 corresponds to the balloon number 1. The part number corresponds to what the drawing name or the file number or the file name was for that particular part. The description is a file attribute, and I'm just typing in the material it's made out of. So I double click on it, type in what I want, and then click anywhere outside of it. The quantity, you'll notice, are how many of these appear in the assembly. So I've got 1 T9 bed, I've got 2 axles, and I've got 1 T9 1-block socket. These other attributes that are attached into the drawing itself, the author is whatever computer you're logged into. The sheet name is right over here, and I could actually change this sheet name if I wanted to. The drawing name is what it is based upon. So this is an assembly drawing. It's based upon subassembly 1, date, and then the number of sheets. So with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and save this. Go File, Save, and I'm going to save this as subassembly 1 drawing. Now I'm also going to come in here. You'll notice that I get a window here that says I've got to save all of the subassembly parts with it. And I'm going to click Save All. And I'm going to give it a different name because I had another subassembly 1 drawing already in there. I'll call it subassembly 1. What the heck? And it'll override it. So now I've saved this as a drawing. I now want to save it as, and use the Save As command, as a PDF, because we're going to submit PDFs. So the advantage of saving it as a PDF and submitting it as a PDF is that I don't have to have the part associated with it. So same name, Subassembly 1, Adobe, Portable Document Format, Save. Okay, I've got that one done. So I'll go ahead and close that part out, close out my subassembly, and I'll go on to subassembly 2.